Hello, welcome you all to the webinar, Breaking Down Silos, Enhancing Warehouse and Transport Operations with SAP, hosted by Westernacher. Thank you all for joining. We are really happy to have you all here today with us. I'm Preeti, I'll be hosting this session. Before we proceed, here are a few pointers. This session will be recorded and will be published later. At any point in time, if you have any questions, please write them down in the chat window and our experts will answer them at the end of the session. Throughout the session, all the attendees will remain on mute. The agenda for today: welcome and presenter introduction, key insights, understanding TM EWM integration, silo versus connected, customer experience insights, deployment options, real-time analytics on EWM and TM, how Westernacher can support your success, interactive Q&A session. We have our experts Pankaj, Prajith and Viraj here with us today. Pankaj is the managing partner heading TMS and YL practices of Westernacher India and Southeast Asia. With over 24 plus years of expertise in the realm of SAP, he stands as a distinguished name in SAP supply chain management and digital supply chain domains. We have Prajith, who's a managing partner heading SAP EWM practice of Westernacher India and Southeast Asia, with 2 decades of experience in SAP consulting, project management, program management across the geographies. His strong experience in the consulting area has benefited multiple customers in terms of timely delivery and successful go-lives. We have Viraj. Viraj is the solution architect of business planning and analytics, with 16 plus years of experience on various platforms of data and analytics in SAP ecosystem. He's lately focused on Analytics Cloud. He's working on planning and analytics implementations across the geographies. In today's session, we'll know the critical advantages of integrating SAP EWM and TM systems and discover how these 2 integrated systems work seamlessly and help in bringing synergies to your business. We'll also know the multiple deployment options in terms of various landscapes and the product and help you determine which suits best to your business. And we discover how real-time analytics can help you identify the issues and bottlenecks as they are happening and gives you insight into your supply chain processes. Last but not the least, let us know how Westernacher can help your SAP and supply chain systems maximize their potential. Without further ado, let's get straight into the topic. We have Pankaj here. Pankaj, would you like to start explain the benefits of integrating the logistics and warehousing systems? Over to you, Pankaj.
Thanks, Preeti, and a very good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for joining this session. And today we are going to talk about the numerous advantages which integration of SAP TM and EWM can bring. The integration of SAP TM and SAP EWM allows business to bridge the gap between transportation and warehousing processes. So we are going to talk about how this, bring the synergy, which can help to reduce the logistic costs, improve resource allocation, and enables a synchronized, efficient logistic process, which in turn gives a competitive edge to your business as well as it helps you to deliver better customer services. So now let's have a look at some of the key levers, or you can say motives, that why we should go for such kind of integration and what we are going to get out of it. So if we talk about those levers, let's start with a couple of them which I have listed here. So in a practical scenario, many operations from TM side needs the information coming from warehouse and vice versa in the real time to have a seamless process flow, right? For example, when the transportation planning process starts, the planner determines the number of packages, pallets, or containers, which can be loaded on a vehicle resource. But what if the warehouse operator packs the shipment differently? In that case, it can be based on available packing material or packing instruction, other packaging constraint. And in that case, what we'll have, we will have a different number of package or pallets, or maybe size of the package, which can be different than the one which is planned by transportation management for a particular vehicle resource, keeping a particular vehicle resource in consideration. And that can result in either wastage of the space on the truck or any vehicle resource, or we may end up having an oversized load. In that case, of course, it's going to impact the cost of the transportation. So that is the very first point where a handshake is needed between TM and EWM. The second one is warehouse process updates. So knowing the exact status of warehouse operations allows TMS to adjust transportation schedules and steps based on real-time data which is coming from warehouse. And this synergy can reduce the bottlenecks and optimize the resource allocations across the supply chain. The third lever which I have mentioned there is status of loading and unloading operations. So basically what we are seeing here is that if both the warehouse and transportation teams are working in sync, in that case, they can have better visibility and control on the operation. For example, TM can trigger alerts when carrier is ready for loading and unloading, allowing warehouse team to prioritize tasks efficiently, keeping the adequate doors or loading and unloading equipments ready, and reduce the idle time for truck and carriers. And knowing the exact loading and unloading time allows transportation managers also to coordinate effectively with the carriers, reduce the risk of any kind of demurrage or any kind of a similar penalty, right? And another very important lever we are going to talk about is the execution-based charge, which needs to be captured precisely. So suppose we have let's take a huge case. Suppose we have to transport 20 pallets of goods to a customer, but for some reason warehouse cannot arrange the loading of all the packages. Maybe 1 or 2 packages are not loaded for any technical reason. Maybe forklift is not ready, or there is some other problem, some other challenge. Maybe pallet is damaged. So in that case, a timely information can help TM to not only calculate the charges correctly, they can also take a necessary action to arrange for that missing package delivery as well, right? Or there can be another aspect like by monitoring the cost associated with the warehouse execution activities, logistic managers can identify all the cost-saving opportunities and control expenses efficiently. So these are the various motives or levers I can talk about from the TM side. Let's hear from Prajith for the warehouse motives. Prajith, over to you.
Thank you, Pankaj. From warehouse perspective, there are several levers or motives that advocates for a TM and EWM tightly integrated solution. It is estimated that many warehouses have approximately 60 to 65% cost is attributed to the resources. So the resources include the people involved, the picking, put away operators, the forklifts, the reach trucks, etc. So that's a considerable amount of cost out of the total operating cost in a warehouse. So it is extremely crucial to plan the resources and execute their task in a much efficient way. Imagine if I'm a supervisor, warehouse supervisor, and if I do not get the input as to how many shipments are going to come tomorrow, or how many dispatches do I need to make tomorrow, that will be very difficult for me to plan my resources in the warehouse. So however, in a tightly connected EWM and TM environment, I always get the information on time so that I can plan my resources efficiently. If I have got too many dispatches tomorrow, I can put more people on the outbound section. If I've got too much of shipments that I'm receiving from the suppliers, I can maybe plan my physical inventory some other day and move those people to handle the volume of inbound receipts. One other typical problem that we always see with our customers is that if the systems operate in silos, meaning you have a different TMS system, you have a different warehousing system, or you have some other system to manage your dock. And if these systems are not connected, you don't get a consolidator or integrated view about where do we stand in the process. So as a say warehouse supervisors, I'm interested to know when the truck is going to arrive, when the truck is docked onto door. Accordingly, I can plan my resources and I can plan my space and time efficiently. Similarly, as a transportation planner, it is important to know when the shipment status is ready to be loaded, or when the warehouse activities are completed. Now, the the new feature, the advanced shipping and receiving feature from SAP enables or helps the users in different ways. So one is that there is a cockpit where you can see all the information. You also have the freight order screen where you can see all the transportation planning related information on one side, and you can see all the statuses such as the picking, packing, loading status of the freight order. In a traffic light signal view. So that really helps, and the feedback that we have got from the customers when we show the screen is quite encouraging, and that shows that that was always a pain point. The other thing is about the yard and dock planning. That's another key area that now needs to be addressed. So most of the cases, the carriers or the transport companies have some sort of penalty clause involved, meaning there are tight SLAs defined as to how long you can take for the truck to be loaded or unloaded. Say, for example, the time when it checks in, from that point in time, say you got to load the truck within 3 hours. If you don't load the truck and send the truck out within 3 hours, there is the penalty clause kicks in. Or most of the warehouses will also have some internal SLAs to track the truck turnaround time. Now, with very efficient TM and EWM integration, you get the data in advance. You can plan your dock doors efficiently so that when the truck is arriving, you can plan your truck docking onto the doors in an efficient way. Another area which is like a key driver or a motive is the optimization of the load planning. So when we talk about the loading or unloading, for that matter, so it can get sometimes it can get quite complex, right? So if you have, say, large containers where you need to load your pallets in certain way, say, for example, certain items, or there could be weight-based restriction. So the heavier items should go first in the container and then the lighter items. Or it has, say, multi-level storage inside the container. So certain items cannot be stored on the bottom because of the nature of that item. It is fragile, etc. And you also can have things like short pick scenarios where 1 or 2 pallets are you have done a short pick, the items are not available, so there is some space available in the container, etc. There could be a lot of real life scenarios in container and load planning. You can also have requirements to sequentially load. So if I have 22 pallets, for example, in the staging area, there could be business requirement that these pallets need to be loaded in a certain sequence based on how it is unloaded or dispatched. So things can get quite complex, but with the help of advanced shipping and receiving and a tight integration of EWM and TM systems, SAP has provided us multiple tools or weapons to handle these scenarios. Moving on to the next slide. Let us quickly look at some of the key benefits. We talked about the levers or motives. Let us look at some of the key benefits. Reduced lead time. So this lead time reduction can happen in the yard area by reducing the lead time of a truck coming in, unloading or loading and sending out, or it can happen in the overall warehousing space. Right. So if you are able to reduce, get the information in advance and plan your pick, pack, stage activities and also the load activities in a timely manner, that definitely helps us in reducing the lead time. Often in warehouses, there are strict timelines or strict SLAs to map the picking time, packing time, etc. It also helps, having a connected system with various tools also helps us in reduce the errors and improve efficiency. For example, I mean, how do you prevent a wrong pallet being loaded onto a, incorrect, wrong customer? So SAP has built-in validation, right? When a tightly integrated environment. So the pallets or the which we call it as handling units in the system are mapped to the freight units, to the containers. So there are built-in validations available so that you do not incorrectly load a pallet. right? So that also helps improving the accuracy, and any reduced errors in the loading, that helps in improved customer service. We also have seen that when the two systems are connected, there is a real-time data exchange that happens, right? So whenever the status of execution, that is pack stage, is completed, that data goes to the TMS system for the further processing. And once the planning happens, the truck arrival, the docking to the door happens, and then the data comes back to the warehouse for a loading. So there is a constant data flow, which is provided as standard between these two systems. So all in all, when you are able to send the right products at the right time, without the products getting damaged in transit, all these things helps us in getting improved customer satisfaction. Pankaj, would you like to talk about some benefits from the transportation point of view?
Thanks a lot. So as Prajith gave us the insight about benefits or key benefits what this integration can achieve from the warehousing side, let's have a look at what is there for transportation side. So the first one which I've listed here is streamlined planning and execution. So what does this mean? So basically, when the integration between SAP TMS and EWM happens, it leads to unified, streamlined planning and execution, as well as allow the transportation and warehousing functions to work in tandem, in harmony, rather than as a separate and siloed entity. Orders can flow seamlessly from one system to another. That, of course, reduce the need of any kind of a manual data entry, right? Improve data accuracy by eliminating any kind of a redundancy, having a single source of truth. These kind of things basically helps for a smoother, faster transition between shipping, receiving, staging processes, and which in turn helps with efficient dispatch or put away process. So this helps to avoid warehouse congestion and better planned transportation to ensure timely delivery. Okay, the next one is optimized load and resource utilization. So by integrating SAP TMS and EWM, key information like packaging, loading, load sequencing, right, loading and loading time, all these things can be shared with, or many notifications, those all things can be shared with across the system in the real time, and both the teams can adhere to same planning process. That reduces the risk of under or overutilization of transportation and warehousing resource. And because we are having the right resource at right time at right place, just because the information are flowing from both the systems, so that helps with any kind of under or overutilization. We can ensure that the right resources available. The next one is cost reduction. So cost reduction is, of course, one of the top priority for logistic operators, and this integration can help cost reduction in multiple ways. For example, apart from the process improvement what I have just explained, real-time data exchange can help automating key steps at the warehousing or maybe at the TM side, optimizing of routing and load planning, and efficient use of TMS and warehouse resources can be used in more efficient way by optimizing the routing, load planning, etc. Right? And it can also, in that case, optimize the transportation as well as warehouse operation cost. The data flow in the real time across the system, so that enables the planner to take proactive and corrective decisions in time, which minimize costly errors, right, such as any kind of a delayed shipment, demurrage, etc. The next one in the list is end-to-end visibility. So when we talk about end-to-end visibility, what I have often seen, what I have often encountered whenever I was speaking with various of our customers, that they struggle with their segment A, segment B, and segment C visibility. So what does segment A, segment B, and segment C? So basically, segment A mainly talks about the internal view within the manufacturing or distribution plant. It covers the visibility of inventory, work in progress items, internal processes, and it involves tracking of goods and materials or spare parts, etc., as they move through the production or internal warehouse areas. And segment B visibility basically concerns the monitoring of goods that are in transit between different locations. And this segment covers goods that have left the production facility, and those are en route to distribution center or retailers, or maybe customers also in some cases. And segment C specifically talks about the last mile, the visibility and tracking of the goods during the last leg of delivery to the end customer. So that includes the last mile delivery, tracking of order status, and capturing the proof of delivery. So while integration of SAP TM and EWM with S4 or ECC or any other ERP can help you with segment A visibility, once it's coupled with business network for logistics, where we have a solution called Global Track and Trace, and any kind of a visibility provider that can help for the segment B and segment C visibility as well. And that eventually provides business with a holistic end-to-end view of the entire logistic process, from order intake to order delivery, right, or final delivery. Real-time alerts and notifications, they ensure that planner can respond quickly to delays or any kind of a disruption or any unexpected events, right? And the last one in the list is enhanced collaboration. So basically the TM EWM integration coupled with, again, there's another solution of BN4L called freight collaboration. So coupled with freight collaboration, this helps to achieve better collaboration, not just between the warehouse and the transportation team, but also across the supply chain, including your supplier, partner, customer, or any other trading partner, right? And each benefit, what I have explained just now, contribute to a more resilient and agile supply chain. Now let's look at some of the synergies this integration solution can bring. So I have listed mainly 3 synergies here: reusable operational parameter, accelerated operations, and also we are going to talk a little bit about how it paves the path towards the business network for logistic platform. So let's have a closer look on each one of them. So if you remember, when I started the logistic motives, I spoke about packaging as one of the motive. So technically what happens when we use the data coming from ERP or any other ordering system, we have the materials or items that needs to be transported at the order line item and would have the quantity, weight, volume, etc. And this is the same information which will be used by warehouse as well. But how would the transport planner know that how warehouse people are going to pack it? Whether they're packing it on pallet or maybe in boxes, or are they packing them as a homogeneous or mixed pallet, right? And warehouse can also have some specific constraints which can be related to the packaging equipment or any kind of a storage or retrieval related constraint, right? Which can lead to certain type of packaging only. Or, if a TM planner is unaware of this planning methodology, in that case, that can lead to inconsistency between the number of package or pallets calculated by TM optimizer to fit on a truck or vehicle resource, what the optimizer has determined, versus the number of package or pallet built by the warehouse, right? And this is where SAP brings a very powerful tool called Unified Package Builder. So what it does, it uses the same master data which warehouse is going to use, right? And it will, or which is coming from your ERP and S4 system. It will use the same master data. And apart from that, it will also consider same package building rule, which is going to be used by warehouse. For example, suppose if warehouse people are going to take the heavy items in the bottom layer of pallet in case of mixed pallet, or if they are going to use any kind of a separation sheet, or if they would consider any stackability factor in the pallet while building the pallet, right? Or which packaging material they are going to consider, or it can be Euro pallet, it can be half pallet like 5A, 5B pallet, etc. Or in case of air transport, which type of ULD they are going to use. So all these informations are captured under a rule. Your packaging instructions, your size and type of materials, everything is clubbed under a rule called package building rule. Now, when the transportation demand flows from ERP to TM, the same unified package building rule is used to create a freight unit. Now that means at a time of planning itself, TM is considering every factors to build a package, which is going to be followed by warehouse at a later stage of time at the time of package building, right? And this way, we come up with a planned number of packages, boxes, or pallets, which mimics the same way how it's going to look once the actual packaging will happen at the warehouse. And that results in close to 95 to 97% of accuracy. Of course, you cannot achieve 100% accuracy because there are still some factors which cannot be even captured by the rule. But still, it leads to 95 to 97% of sync, which is a great improvement in the system performance. Now, let's talk about the load planning. So let's say we have already calculated the correct number of pallets or package and size, etc. But what if my warehouse is going to load them on the truck in a different way, or maybe they will load it in the same way or different way, whatever it can be, right? So, and in that case, what happens? Suppose if your warehouse is going to consider any kind of a loading constraint or parameters or loading equipment, right? Or if they are going to consider any transport regulation or maybe axle distribution rule, right? Or maybe any kind of a bridges law. There are many countries where have the bridges law that you cannot carry more than certain amount of weight over a bridge, or any kind of a staking rule on the truck. So suppose there is a multiple compartment on a truck. In that case, which pallet or package will go into which compartment, or how the load will be stacked. So here again, we have another powerful tool called the load planning, which can provide a 3D visualization of the truck or vehicle resource, showing how the package would be loaded on it by feeding the accurate vehicle dimensions, axle parameters, stackability rules, and all the other loading rules. And we also consider the load sequence, which is the third parameter. So they also consider the load sequence in case of multi-drop or multi-pick scenario, according to the stop sequence. As you can see that I mentioned the stop sequence in the load sequencing. So how the trucks are going to stop and in what order it's going to load or unload. So that information is also considered in the same. The loading plan and loading sequence, they both are considered. And all this information can be handed over to warehouse to ensure that the packaging, loading, and stacking of the good happens in the exactly same way TM has planned, right? So that helps to achieve an efficient utilization of the resources. Okay, now I will hand it over to Prajith to talk about the next synergy. Prajith, over to you.
Thanks, Pankaj. Okay, I'll quickly talk about the advanced shipping and receiving scenario. So earlier, if people who have worked in the LE transportation modules will remember the shipment, right? So the VT01 and VT02 and etc. So the way that was integrated with TM and EWM. So you had a shipment document that gets replicated, etc. So SAP has come up with some time back from 2020, SAP has come up with the advanced shipping and receiving feature, and that has been the features, more and more features have been added on to this over past many years, and this is one of the finest solution that we have in the logistics space. So let's have a quick look at what how does this help us to break down the silos. Now, in case of advanced shipping and receiving, we don't have the transportation unit object. So the transportation unit was the object that we earlier had in EWM to represent a truck, right? So instead of that, the whole focus is on the freight orders. So with the help of freight orders, we can carry out activities in the warehouse as well. So I'll very quickly brief about the process flow, and then we'll look into some of these points. Now, advanced shipping and receiving has got a basic version and it has got an advanced version. It also has got a warehouse driven scenario, and it has got a transportation driven scenario. We'll see that part in the next slide. But coming to the basic versus advanced, there are certain facilities such as the consignment order. Consignment order is a new object that SAP has introduced in the TM world for advanced shipping and receiving. So the flow is like this in the advanced license. So you have a sales order in the S4 system, and based on the sales order, I'm talking about the outbound dispatch process now. Based on the sales order, the outbound delivery order is created, and that outbound delivery is replicated to the EWM system as well as the TM system. Now, if your solution is predominantly a transport driven solution, or your business is predominantly driven by the way in which you want to transport, etc., then what you would opt is you would opt for the transport driven scenario. In that case, what happens is that the outbound delivery that is replicated to the EWM, that goes into a blocked status. Okay, and in TM you have the freight unit created. So based on the freight unit, the freight order gets created, and something called a local consignment order gets created in the TM system. And once these documents are created, the status of the freight order is set to ready for warehousing, and that information comes back to EWM, and then the delivery is unblocked for execution. Right, and from there your warehouse execution activity starts. So you have the wave release, the picking, the packing, and moving the packed items to the staging area based on the doors and other things. And once that is done, these activities are completed. In EWM system, there is a new status called ready for shipping. So that status gets updated, and then immediately an interface is triggered to TM system. And in TM, the freight order and the freight unit, the same status, that is ready for shipping status, get updated. Then you're ready for the truck check-in, the truck related movements, the truck docking onto the respective doors, all of those things happen. And then subsequently, once the truck is docked onto the door, now we have all our pallets, the boxes, everything is in the staging area. So you start the loading. So your traditional loading based on RF devices, where the operator scans the pallets and scans a barcode of the truck, and then thereby you complete the loading. Once the loading is completed, the status again gets updated back to TM system, and that is when your consignment order gets created. Earlier I spoke about the local consignment order, because that's a local object created in TM. So now that consignment order gets created, and your freight order and freight unit gets updated. Now then your goods issue happens, and as usual, the goods issue is updated in respective documents in the TM, in the EWM, and of course that goes and updates your S4, and the material documents get created. Now the advantage of having consignment order is that you can send a ASN notification to your customer. So imagine you have the TM system, you have the EWM system, you also have a connection to the customer system, you also have a connection to your carriers. So once the loading, the warehousing activities are ready, and the consignment is ready to be dispatched, you can send and you can trigger an interface, thereby send an ASN notification to your customer, so that the customer is aware, customer gets real-time information that the items are ready to be dispatched, right? And then after this interface is triggered, you go through your normal bill of lading and printing of bill of lading, your truck departure from the door, checkout from the warehouse premises, etc. So you can also have interface that sends the freight order information to the carrier. So these are all standard interfaces. So that's how typically the process flow looks like. So by now you would have got some idea about how efficiently the advanced shipping and receiving feature can connect the transportation activities, the execution warehouse related activities, pass that information to your customer in the form of ASN, pass that information to the transporter for to the carrier for the transport planning, etc. You also have seen the data harmonization, how the data seamlessly flow between these systems. Now, I wanted to highlight one particular point here, that is the multi-pick and multi-drop feature. Now, people who have worked in the earlier versions would understand the difficulties that we had in case where a truck comes and has to pick up certain items from one building and then some other items from another building, etc. So which means, so you have a building number 1, which is your warehouse number 1. You have building number 2, which is your warehouse number 2. You have building number 3, that's your warehouse number 3. All these buildings in the same premise. So the truck checks in once in your warehouse, in your premise, and then it goes to the first building to load certain items. And then the truck gets docked onto the door. The items are loaded, and then it is undocked from the door, and it has to move to the second warehouse. Maybe because you have another set of items or certain probably a dangerous goods are stored in the second warehouse and frozen items are stored in the third warehouse, etc. Right? Or any of those combination. Now the truck has to go to the second warehouse and again dock to the door, load items. Once the loading is completed, undock from that door, and then move to the third building. So this was quite difficult to achieve. We would have to depend on custom solutions and custom coding to achieve this. However, in the ASR feature, you have the multi-pick and multi-drop facility available in standard, which means that if you have implemented ASR, so the truck can come in, load or unload from the first building, first warehouse, move to the second one, move to the third one, and then finally check out from the whole premise. Okay, so that's something quite interesting. And one more additional feature, what makes it even more interesting is that in the example given earlier, so I mentioned about 3 warehouses. So with advanced shipping and receiving, you can have your first warehouse EWM managed warehouse, the second warehouse managed at inventory managed level, which means that there is no WMS, the stock is managed at storage location, and the third warehouse can be a stockroom managed warehouse. So that's the additional option given by SAP in case you're sunsetting with the WM option. Basically, it can handle all permutation combination with respect to an EWM managed warehouse, with respect to an IM managed warehouse, or with respect to a stockroom managed warehouse. Right. Now, earlier I very briefly touched upon 2 scenarios. One is the warehouse driven scenario, and another one is the transportation driven scenario. Now, this is again another freedom given to the customers to choose from based on which set of activities are dominant in your business process. So if the warehouse related activities are dominant in your warehouse, you can choose the execution driven scenario. Now the real difference is this: in case of the warehouse or execution driven scenario, your pick pack stage or all the warehouse activities happens first, right? And then the information is passed on to the TM system for the first subsequent processing. Earlier I spoke about the outbound delivery order being blocked in the warehouse, but that is in case if you are opting for the transportation driven scenario. In case if you are opting for the warehouse driven scenario, in the outbound process, once the delivery is replicated to both EWM and TM, the freight unit in TM that gets blocked, and you proceed with the loading, you proceed with the picking, packing, and staging activities in the warehouse. And once that is completed, the status is updated and it goes back to TM, and then your TM processes starts. And once the TM processes are completed, that you load the item and then the goods issue and other things happen. So that's predominantly the execution driven scenario. Now, Pankaj, can you talk about the transportation driven scenario?
Sure, Prajith, thanks. So before I move to next synergy, I will let's have a very quick look on the salient point of the TM driven scenario. So basically here the transportation planning takes place first, and transportation optimizer determines all kind of resource type, vehicle resource, etc. This information is passed on to warehouse for the warehouse operation. So basically there's a freight order created or freight booking created in case of rail, ocean, or air. And that document has all the information related to transportation. And once its status is changed to ready for warehouse operation, this information flows to warehouse, and warehouse receives this instruction, and then only it starts the pick, pack, load, and all the warehouse activities, right? And it can also combine multiple requirements into waves that can be released in such a way so that it is aligned with the truck arrival and loading. I will very quickly talk about the last synergy I have listed. So as EWM and TM integration happens, that helps you to achieve a step towards business network for logistics, which is SAP's new cloud-based offering, which offers multiple solutions like collaborative network, or global track and trace, right? And intelligent insights. So basically this collaborative network solution that provides a marketplace to empower your business to collaborate with millions of trading partners seamlessly and transact with them electronically and efficiently. So basically this network connects the people, process, and system across multiple enterprises and helps with digitized transactions. It can create a transparent, resilient, and sustainable supply chain. And I've already mentioned those multiple solutions. So basically, we are going to talk about analytics in the later slides, which Viraj will be covering. So before we go to the next topic, let's have a look at the customer success story for one of our customer, RealCan, and see that how RealCan has transformed their supply chain and leveraged the best of both the solutions to achieve the significant benefits.
The China-based RealCan Pharmaceutical Group is a giant in the highly regulated medical services arena. It's supplying drugs and medical instruments from over 12,000 domestic and foreign pharmaceutical manufacturers. RealCan partnered with Westernacher Consulting and implemented SAP EWM and SAP TM to enable rapid growth through a digitized supply chain. Thanks to the implementation of a powerful new information system, they are able to centralize data management to reduce logistics costs by 15% per item, visualize and trace the process of drug circulation, match temperate collection equipment with orders to automatically record the temperature, route and receival of deliveries, analyzing staff workload in real time, increasing turnover from 81% to 90% by calculating and coordinating storage workload and workforce before operation. Increase the efficiency of warehouse task processing from 82% to 91% by integrating one of the largest automatic pharmaceutical distribution warehouses in North China. The vehicle loading and utilization rate raised from 65% to 78% by reducing fuel consumption, and the transportation expenses being cut by 3% to 5%. System delays were eliminated by integrating SAP ERP with SAP EWM and SAP TM to receive order information seconds after invoicing. By digitizing their supply chain processes, RealCan have their finger on the pulse of their logistics operations and are reaping rewards with greater visibility, efficiency and safety.
Okay, now we will quickly talk about various deployment options. So since we are having a very interesting topic coming up on analytics from Viraj, so I will not take much of a time here looking at the time we are left with. So I'll very quickly talk about the deployment options. So I have listed a couple of different deployment options, but before that, what are the various factors which we consider to go for any particular one or other deployment options? So basically, as you can see that there are 4 listed. System landscape, of course, that what kind of system landscape your business is on, whether you are on S4 HANA or ECC, what is your core ERP, complexity of the operation, that how many complex operations you are having, that basically tells you that whether you should go for standalone or whether you should go for embedded, the IT infrastructure, cloud or hybrid platform, and what kind of integration you need, if in case how many different third-party solutions or systems you are having. Okay, so here I have listed the deployment options. As you can see that I have listed various possibility of deployments. For example, you can have embedded TM and EWM both embedded with the S4 HANA. That means that you are having TM and EWM embedded within the S4 HANA as a part of digital core, And that helps you with having a unified platform with real-time integration with your core SAP TM EWM process, reduce the IT landscape complexity, right? Faster data processing. The other one can be decentralized one. Decentralized TM and EWM means you are having TM and EWM as a separate instance, and your digital core is, standing alone. In that case, you have the flexibility in managing the operations of TM and EWM, of course, because that's independent of your core ERP. Or suppose you are having multiple digital core ERP or ECC system. In that case, all of them can be a feeder system, and that can be, feed to your TM and EWM system, because there are multiple organizations where I have seen that they have more than one ERP system, maybe geographical wise or whatever, but they want to use a centralized TM and EWM system. So that can be brought in only when you have this kind of deployment option, right? The third one is TM is embedded and EWM is standalone, or it can be vice versa. So in that case, the benefit is that while one of the system, maybe TM or EWM, can benefit from the tight integration with S4HANA, the other can have the flexibility like a standalone application, and you can have your core processes and your complex processes running on it. So it depends that whether your TM is more streamlined or whether EWM system is more streamlined, and which one is having lots of complex automation system, and which one you want to keep as a separate box. So that decision is definitely at a time of deployment option, you can decide based on this. The fourth one I have listed here is, which is your cloud-based SAP TM and EWM. So basically here, both of the solution can be deployed on cloud-based model, and it can be on SAP's private or public cloud, right? So here the benefit is that you can have a reduced infrastructure cost and faster deployment compared to on-prem solution, scalable solution that can be expanded based on the business needs. You can have the access to the various updates which keeps on coming from SAP. You can very easily have the integration with SAP's other cloud-based solution like Ariba, BN4L, etc., right? And if I talk about the use case, so basically the smaller business who are looking for quick deployment and not having much of a fluctuating operations can go for public cloud, which is offered under SAP's Grow package. And in case your business is having lots of customized and complex business processes, then you can go for private cloud solution. And here SAP offers a bundle of cost-effective licenses under SAP's RISE package. And there are many cloud service providers like AWS, Google Cloud Platform, etc. You can avail which one is fitting your business need. And the last one is the hybrid deployment. So here we are talking about having a combination of on-prem and cloud deployment for both TM and EWM. So here basically you have the flexibility to choose that which component is good for your on-prem, which component is good for your cloud, right? So this is best deployment option for the company looking to gradually transition to cloud while maintaining some of their on-prem systems, especially they have any kind of a regulatory or data residency concern. Okay, I'll very quickly wrap this up. So here we have talked about basic TM and advanced TM, and similarly for basic and advanced EWM. So basic TM is basically suitable for small scale operations, and it has very limited functionality, whereas advanced TM has all the full scale complex optimizer, charge calculation, all those functionality it has. Similarly, basic EWM is again very much concise, and it has only core warehouse functionality only, but lacks the advanced automation, whereas the advanced EWM has all the advanced features like labor management, yard management, complex automation capabilities, etc. And you can decide which one you want to go based on your complexity of the business, your IT landscape, or your cost versus functionality, that what kind of functionality you want and what kind of cost it's going to incur. Just one point you need to notice that basic version of both SAP TM and EWM is available only on SAP S4HANA embedded version. So now I would like to hand it over to Viraj to come up with a next very interesting topic on analytics. So Viraj, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pankaj. So we heard from Pankaj and Prajith about how EWM and TM can work together and unlock a lot of synergies for your business. Another product that really works together with both of these systems is SAP Analytics Cloud. And the killer feature in EWM and TM that often gets underutilized by many customers is the data that that is generated in these systems. So to take an example, think of a warehouse. Every single task in a warehouse, whether it's a pick, whether it's a pack, whether it's loading, unloading, staging, everything gets logged with the right context. So who, when, where, all of it is logged in the system. And this data is a treasure trove of information that can be tapped into for insights. And the idea behind doing this is to identify bottlenecks in the system, in the operations, and take action on the issues when they're still starting to happen, as opposed to when they become larger problems. So in terms of analytics, SAP Analytics Cloud is a cloud-based analytics and planning platform. And this is perfect for this job because it comes with ability to integrate with lots of different systems. So imagine having a single dashboard where you can display KPIs from your EWM system, your TM system, and as well as your S4 system. It is powered by HANA, so the performance is really good, and you can access it from a browser. So there's no tool that you need to install. The other advantage that you get is it is mobile compatible. So let's imagine a warehouse supervisor walking around the warehouse with a tablet where he can monitor all the critical KPIs of the warehouse. He can spot if there's some issue in any particular part of the warehouse and directly go there. Also, you can think of operations managers who want to keep tab on the critical KPIs on their mobile phone while on the go. So all of this is possible with SAP Analytics Cloud. So here is an example of what a dashboard could look like. Here we are showing you a snapshot of our EWM Insights asset with an overview page, which is displaying some of the key warehousing KPIs. As you can see, the KPIs are color coded to show whether the KPI is currently in good shape or not. So this helps you easily spot which KPIs are not doing so well, and then drill down into them. So here we have some examples of pages which are deep dive. So while the overview page was intended to identify issues, the deep down drill down pages help you trace the problem to a particular area, a particular let's say system, and you can find out exactly what is wrong and where it is wrong, and you can take the corrective action. Similar to EWM, we can also do this for transportation management systems. So here is an example of a dashboard that shows the critical KPIs from a TM system in real time. And like we saw, we also have deep dive pages for the TM analysis. Yeah, so here you can go deeper into each areas of TM. So for example, the finance area, the execution area, etc. So what I want you to walk away with is, a vision of having a large screen in your warehouse displaying all the critical KPIs where everyone can see what's happening. You can also imagine having a large screen next to each dock door that can show you what are the upcoming deliveries, what is the status of the current delivery, and all the helpful information that the workers in the warehouse need at that point of time. And SAP Analytics Cloud is really making this, is democratizing analytics, and this is no longer a tool just for the upper management. It's something that each and every person in the organization can benefit from. And here on this slide, you see a vision of turning static traditional notice boards, which are more historical. They don't tell you what is happening right now. They're usually done once a day or once a week, and completely change the paradigm into having a live control center for each warehouse, which is responsive, which is real time, and you can spot the issues and act in time. With this, I will hand it back over to Preeti.
Thank you, Viraj. Well, that was a great session. After such an elaborate technical session, let us now know how Westernacher as a firm helps its clients optimize their business. Prajith, over to you. Would you like to share some information on the same?
Yeah, thanks, Preeti. So there are multiple services that Westernacher offers for its customers. You can visit our website where we have mentioned all the services that we offer. However, today, very briefly, in the interest of time, I'll go very briefly into 3 services. The first one is the Inspiration Day. So here, this is a service offered for 1 day where the experts will come and visit your leadership or mid-management in your office or in your premises, and run a workshop where we will showcase the best practices in the industry. We also have a health check, which is a little bit longer, so typically 5 days, wherein a panel of experts come and visit your office, visit your warehouse or your transport related area, and then first understand the current issues, the pain points, identify the loopholes, identify the areas of improvements, and how you can reduce the cost and improve the ROI. We also can work on proof of concept. So we have worked with many customers where they were not very sure before rolling out a solution to, let's say, 20 different warehouses. So they wanted to first see whether this is the right solution. So what we can do is, in such cases, we can do a proof of concept, so which typically lasts from, say, couple of weeks to 2 to 3 months, wherein certain pre-identified pain points will be addressed through the EWM or TM solution.
Okay, Prajith, further, let's move on to this interesting area, time for questions. Well, we have received multiple questions here, but in the interest of time, we'll take very few of them. Okay, let's go with the first question. What is the difference between old S4 TM EWM integration and the advanced shipping and receiving?
Okay, I'll pick that one. So there are a lot of differences. So as I've briefed in the initial part of the session, so earlier the way in which we used to represent truck was transportation unit. So transportation unit is an object that is no more there now, but SAP has introduced multiple other objects. So the freight order has become more powerful, and so that is an object that is shared between these two systems, right? Technically speaking. Now the integration has become much more stronger, and the data flow has become more rapid and real time. And you've also heard me saying earlier about the new object called consignment that is created. So there are multiple things that have changed, and what I see from the consulting experience in from the past is that this is the solution now between not just between TM and EWM, but the entire ecosystem is much more connected than ever. So you have your S4, you have your transportation system, you have the warehousing system, you have the business network for logistics system, you have the yard related solution, and all of these things. So this is, so in my view, this is much more connected than ever.
Thank you, Prajith. To all the attendees, thank you for the questions that you have put in. These questions will be answered offline by our experts. Hope that's okay. Moving further, well, thanks to all the participants for joining in. We really appreciate the interest that you have in the subject, and thanks to our experts for putting in their time and efforts in bringing this webinar. That was a totally informative session. I know it's a vast area to explain, and to have to fit in within 1 hour is really difficult, but with great examples and giving us a visualization of the real-time scenarios, that was wonderful. And going further, to all the attendees, if you have any queries, please reach out to our experts via email. Their mail IDs are visible on the screen. And for more such interesting webinars, keep an eye on our LinkedIn page. The updates will be available over there. And many such webinars are already available on our YouTube channel. And white papers are published and they are available on our official website. Please do check them out. And stay connected with us over social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.